Welcome, everyone, to the very first episode of Adtopsy. I've gathered some of the finest medical doctors, medical creative doctors in the space here. I'll let them introduce yourselves, but we have Dr. Barry Hott, we have Dr. Rachel Jackson, and we have Dr. Ike. Just one name there. He's kind of like Dr. Oz. He's not a real doctor, it's FYI. And myself, Dr. Jess Bachman. So, Barry, why don't we start with who? Why are you here?
I'm here because I love ads to my core. Big ad boy. Love making them. Love reacting to them. Love watching them on TV and on the internet. But you know, it's also where I make a lot of my money is from producing ads, editing them, and putting them on the internet for people to see, and then iterating on them. I've worked with some of the biggest DTC brands. I don't know if you want me to brag about that.
Nope.
Also with my
all
past.
good.
Okay, done. Great.
Rachel Jackson, what's your story?
Rachel Jackson. I am media director at Fireteam, so I handle all the media buying clients for all Fireteam. I'm primarily a media buyer, so I am just sort of here from that perspective, because I think that it's really intertwined, the creative and the media buying, obviously. So happy to, lend a voice from that perspective.
Great. And Ike is the newest member of Fireteam.
I am.
Where'd you get your degree from?
The prestigious Rhode Island College. Great. My real name is Andrew Icavelli, but Ike is much easier to say. I am an editor, videographer, photographer, and I just like to build the Lego pieces of ads and figure out what works, what doesn't, tear it down, rebuild it. So yeah, I'm excited.
Great. So what we have here today is we've had a bunch of brands who have volunteered to submit some ads, which may or may not have worked, and we are going to pick them apart. Like a bunch of sort of raving jackals. And we're going to be I just want to warn people that we're probably going to be very particular. And if, I've done this a few times on the triple whale thing, and a lot of people are like, why do you care about that cut, 40 seconds into it? And I think our perspective is that if you want to make ads that really last, and then you can put a lot of spend behind them, all of the details matter. And with social ads, you're constantly fighting from people using that very twitchy finger to scroll. And if you make them feel negative or something feels off, it is the easiest action for someone to take to scroll by. And so we really look at every single thing and what's making people feel bad, what's making people feel good, how can we improve it? So we are going to be really anal about this. And apologize in advance, but that's just sort of the way we think. So I'm going to share my screen and we're going to take a look at our first patient here.
Sounds kind of ominous. Maybe it should.
So patient 001 is from the brand Red Moose. They make like shoe polish. That's pretty much all there is to it. This ad, I know did not work whatsoever for a lot of different reasons. A lot of these ads, we're not going to bring in some of the statistics, but we're just going to watch it one way through and then we'll sort of discuss it. So here we go.
They said to put this down over something that changed your life.
Wow, life-changing, clearly. So I guess I'll start. And one thing that I noticed, it uses the robot sound, which I think is fine in a lot of cases. I think it certainly can work, but the robot sound doesn't do every word, doesn't pronounce every word right. And if I listen to this, it's missing, the word sound is not like really pronounced right. So let me play it again.
They said to put this down over something that
like she like whispers it or something. And so if we record a VO that's like that, we would be like, no, you can't, you have to re-record it. And because it's in the first 3 seconds, like it's going to be hard to be like, they said to put this sound over something that changed your life. It feels wrong, and it's not communicating 100%. So be very careful about how Jesse, the robot voice, pronounces things. Any other takes? Should I play it again?
No, I agree. I like the intention of trying to like scratch that TikTok itch, right? Trying to get that viral feel. But there is, with the robot voice and some of the cuts and maybe the sound levels, there is a little bit of a sloppiness that may get a person to swipe away.
So certainly at the end where the sound leaves for no reason.
Yes.
Yeah, that was my
Yeah, but you're assuming people are getting that far, and
that's a whole 15 seconds in.
I am assuming people get that far. Most
people will. Some people.
They're not. Very small number of those people.
Agreed. Most people won't, but I think the target audience is not the people that get into the first 3 seconds. I think the clickers are people that get to the 16 seconds, that get through the ad. And I think I really wish Facebook would show you the level of buyers per second, because people really optimize for these first 3 seconds, which is important, but they feel like once that thumb stop ratio is 40%, then you have them and you don't at all,
No, totally right. My point about this is like, it's not a good hook, and we can get into why. But beyond that, it's given no one reason to continue to get to that end of that song. It's not. I'm not saying about that about every ad. This one specifically, and I just will jump in. I don't care about that voiceover part that you just said. I think it's got the robot voice. Everyone knows it's a robot voice. Nobody cares. It has the caption, the same caption on the screen. This is my take is, one, I'm not familiar with seeing this color red caption. When I look at this, I'm like, okay, that's not what I would expect to see from any of the people I follow on TikTok. It's usually white or I don't know, whatever, but it's clearly a brand color. So,
I've seen this like 8 months ago. This was more common. So, trends and stuff, you got to stay on top of them.
Yeah. But again, put this sound over something to change your life. Yeah, it's a trend. But then it's just the video is completely unremarkable. Mm-hmm. It's not that like we can, dig in and talk about the minutia and rip it apart. I will. But like, to me, this is already DOA, like as a, like overall, the content behind that is not enough. There isn't anything, there's no excitement in the hook to believe that this is life-changing. It's just like, this is something life-changing. Here's a product.
Right. Yeah, if you're going to say that, it should at least, I think, have at least something emotional or interesting, because if you're saying it's going to change your life, you have to show why. Otherwise, you're just lying.
Show a dirty shoe. Show a filthy shoe. And then change that shoe's life. Sorry.
Right. It's totally setting people up for disappointment coming from the brand. Not only would this ad not work, but it feels kind of bad from the brand side as well. If I associate this disappointment with this red moose, I mean, it's just a lot of bad feelings being played over the product. Yeah, I agree. What else about this hook, Barry, that you said that was not a good
start? Just give me the first 3 seconds again.
Yep.
They said to put this sound over something that changed your life.
Yeah, it's all of it. There's nothing there. There's nothing there.
There's clearly something here. What do you mean there's nothing?
Of quick cuts. There's a bunch of quick cuts there, but you've given me no reason to pay attention to it at all. There's none whatsoever. Right. So it's getting some of the fundamentals of like TikTok style creative in terms of the pacing, angles, camera, whatever. Lighting, any of that's fine actually, but there's just nothing compelling to a shoe on the ground that isn't a shoe brand I recognize, that isn't a particularly great shoe or a particularly ugly shoe, a particularly dirty shoe. It's just a nothing shoe. So it's a nothing sandwich here.
Yeah. I think what's bothering me is actually the directions. that directions card, I don't know why that's there. I don't know why.
Oh, yeah.
It's just like, now I'm confused. Now I feel like, is it not actually shoe polish that I'm used to? Is there something different about it's really bizarre, I think, to have that in there in the first 3 seconds.
It's a great call. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a lot of brands that do like weird stuff in the beginning to get people to stop, and maybe like throwing the bag on the ground or whatever. But as soon as you assume that they stopped, you're now cleaning your shoe on the ground, and it's a very it's not how people do it. It's very unrelatable as well. So it's like you're continuing with the weird thumb stop. It's like if you start with a gooey thumb stop, and then the goo was like ever present in the ad all the time, and it's like that's not how people use product. Barry, I know you love the goo, right?
I love goo. Like, that's the next hat. Make gooey ads.
Right.
I was just gonna say, like, this also introduces the product too soon. I think to Rachel's point, like, give me more about something else that isn't the immediate product and the intro, that card. Like, all of this video is actually good, like, video I'd put in the back end of another ad. Like, right. This is good stuff. And I would hope that someone watching or listening to this, assuming that, anyone does, would take remember to not just throw away all the video that they make for stuff like this. Cause like those clips are good for other uses. That's like good B, C, D slot stuff. But we need to find a better hook and a better reason to get people to pay attention.
Exactly.
Yeah, agree. Not a lot here. Kind of obvious why it failed. So that's let's move on to the next one. Patient number 002. So this is the brand Supply. They gave us 2 videos, one that they said had a good run and may not be in market anymore, and the other one that didn't work almost from the jump. So let's take a look at this one. It's 1 minute and 20 long. This one is the good version. So let's see what happens.
I'm never going back to one of these.
I used to hate shaving. The burn, the bumps, the plastic waste, and worst of all, the cost. So I decided to do something about it. I resurrected a vintage design and I called it the Single Edge. Shaving has never been the same again. You gotta do it! With our new Nick Stop technology, the SE puts the safe into safety razor for the first time, well, ever. This is an industry first, with 16 precision fins that guide the hair to the blade while protecting your skin from nicks and cuts. But why even use a single blade razor? Aren't more blades better? A multi-blade lifts and cuts hair underneath the surface of the skin, leading to bumps and burn. Multi-blades are also impossible to recycle and outrageously expensive. Hundreds of millions of cartridges go into the landfill every year. That's why our mission since day one has been to make single blade shaving easy and enjoyable for everyone. So, if you're tired of hating your shave, I'd love for you to try the new Supply Razor. It's easy to use and will restore your confidence in shaving. If it doesn't do that for you, I've got a 100-day money-back guarantee that I honor every time. No questions asked.
Okay, so clearly a lot going on here. There's a little bit of everything in this ad, which is probably one of the reasons it worked. Does anyone have any thoughts about why this did have a good run?
I think they really nailed the problem solution thing. They bring up several relatable problems, whether it's waste, whether it's razor burn, and they introduce the problem, introduce the solution immediately, and have some really cool shots. It helps to have Shark Tank shots too, right? It gives you legitimacy.
Instant validation for sure.
Yeah, and it's a great mix of like native content where it's a guy just talking on his phone mixed with these beautiful like studio shots. Yeah, it's a good ad.
Yep. And the founder, this is Patrick here, runs the company. So that's always a little bit of a legitimacy.
Yeah, he helps too. He's got a good voiceover, feels charismatic. I love all the I language. I will give you the money back. I will, help, 100-day trial. All of that feels very warm and inviting.
This ad sucks. No, I'm just kidding. This ad's amazing. This ad is amazing. I've actually was so glad to see this ad in here because I have personally referenced this ad and others like it from Supply before, and also use it as a point of I work with Harry's, and I've used it as a point of like, hey, we're selling 5-blade razors. This brand is out there saying 5-blade razors mess up your skin. So we're under attack here, which is really interesting. But overall, end to end, this is a case study in near ad perfection to me. Like, there's obviously always stuff I could talk about tweaking and improving, and I will. But this one has so much going on for it that both of you already are mentioned. It's so good.
All right. Well, I'll disagree a little bit.
Here we go.
But we know it performed well.
It had a good run.
It had
what that means, Jess?
Yeah, I think it had a good run, and I think it's either off or was turned off because it wasn't performing. You know, they probably put a lot of spend behind it.
Yeah.
But a perfection ad should probably still be in market. So, you know, before we get into like the details, one thing that I sort of felt going through this was I just got bored. I got bored of his voiceover a little bit. It's very clear that he mixes it up for sure, but I do think there needs to be like some major pattern interrupt here.
Love it.
If I'm gonna sit through like a whole minute, because there's a lot in there, and I need, maybe around the 20-second mark.
Like a music change and like
I actually feel like I need a testimonial. I need like a customer testimonial. I need more than just the guy at the very beginning. I kind of need this changed my life. I'm obsessed with this. I use it every day throughout all my other ones. I might need that, like a little bit more of that emotional connection then, because then it wouldn't just be him the whole time.
I agree. Good call out, both of you. Like, I agree. That's good.
I always wonder, and just for context, we actually ran the Supply account for a few months during the height of the iOS 14.5 thing. So I actually think, where is it? I don't know. There's definitely some shots in here that I shot on my phone. But
you did the one in the
I hope you're getting paid for that.
So one thing that I always wonder about
residuals
with Supply is, because a lot of it is like, you don't need 5 razors or you don't need 5 blades because that's sort of their thing. You don't need all this tech, but then they go into this like nick stop, trademark technology. And I feel like, I don't know if this is believable, or it feels like part of Supply's benefit is that it's simple, but now we have this nick stop 16 precision fin. It's like, you don't have that many blades, but now you have like 16 fins, and it feels
I don't know though, Jess, because we always talk about the brain and the way you make decisions. I feel like this is just post-rationalizing the fact that I want the single blade. This is just, oh, great, it's got fancy new technology. Love it. Check box. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Maybe this is a way for Supply to go, because there's a reason why Gillette has 1 million blades, is because it works as a selling factor. And so maybe this is a way for Supply to do that without doing 100% 180 on the single blade thing.
Well, it's about what this does, which my understanding now working with in this industry is that, this is for guys with sensitive skin, is my understanding, more sensitive skin, who don't want razor bumps, who don't want nicks. And that's what it said, nick stop technology. Mm-hmm. So, if it'll do that, whereas those other blades are just straight blades on skin, 5 of them, then this is reassuring, very reassuring.
Yeah. So what is because a lot of times we've seen in ads where it starts, there's a lot of like native stuff and this is all good. But as soon as you get to something like the nick stop, these studio shots where they are beautiful, and it's like immediately you're in ad land. And I worry whether this is even, if this can even work, or if this was better, if this type of stuff was taken out, or if there's a way to do this well. Maybe this is the way, but
I think you earned it. Look where it is. It's at 23 seconds.
Yeah, I think you can also, with what you said, Rachel, you can continue earning these shots by like throwing in more testimonial in between them, talking about how much someone loves their precision fins or something like that. I do agree. Sometimes you get into those studio shots and it does turn a person off.
I love the term earned it. That's so spot on. Like, you earned it. And it also, not only did you earn it, but it moves you from that native, which is kind of like the make ugly ads, like gritty side of things, to making it be like, oh, this isn't some rinky dink operation. They have like 3D models, or they have like, really high end, whatever. So like, again, you earn it with that ugly native part, and then you can really reap the benefits of it.
Okay, so my favorite shot in this entire ad is this one, where Patrick is in here. And so one of the things that we try and do is, it feels like there's 3 pipes to the brain that you can communicate information. You can say something with VO. People will, and at the same time, you can put text on the screen, and people will read that. And at the same time, you can really demonstrate it in the video. And if we watch this clip here.
Heat shaving. The burn, the bumps, the plastic waste.
So when he says like the bumps, I see the bumps, sure. And I also see his face, which is like, oh, yikes. He's using the face as a way to communicate. This would be so much worse if it didn't have his face. Like, this looks painful. I need his face to also communicate that it is painful. And he says the bumps in the VO and the bumps on text, like it is unmistakable how much this makes someone feel about bumps. So I think this particular clip here and the burn is exactly what you need in these first, like in the first 5 seconds, because these seconds are the most critical part of it. And if you can really layer in lots of different ways of communicating about a single thing to hammer it home, it's going to be ideal.
I would point out that the green screen style it's also possible, like, I don't know if that's still a common trend. Maybe that trend has died a little bit since this was first launched, so it's become less like cool or native feeling. Can you go back to the first second again? I would just keep iterating, and I'm sure they have iterated on this beginning. That first clip right here, I'm never going back to one of these. Like that clip and that text overlay and whatever, like that's, I'm sure they've played with a bunch, and if they haven't, that's what I'd keep iterating on a little bit. Yep. Because when you have the rest of that meat behind it, that's when you can play with that hook. Like, if you just play with hooks and you have nothing else good behind it, then you're screwed. But when you have that much meat behind it, you can play with like 3-4 hooks in a row. You can go hook, and then get into the rest of it. So, that's what I'd maybe play with more for them. And just going back to why it's paused, if we don't know why it's paused, then it's really hard to know, like, maybe it shouldn't be paused. Maybe they should have just turned down the budget. Maybe like they should just recreate it and try it with new ad copy and try new versions of it. Like, that's my whole thing. I've seen too many people turn off ads because like, oh, performance is not as good anymore. Let's turn it off. And then I'm like, well, you probably shouldn't turn it off. Just iterate on it. So who knows?
Yeah, it's worth mentioning. We're coming in here with like hardly any context.
No context.
And there's a million reasons why an ad could work as well. But still, it's funny that this is like the first time I've seen a woman in here. Why do you think
what's she doing?
I think she is the wife.
Yeah, it's Patrick's wife.
But it's not made clear though. Why is she
Only
smiling?
if you saw her from the scene, shark tank scene. She's in it, but you would have to be really paying attention.
But her smiling at the end is not valuable.
Yeah, it is not.
Yeah,
Unless it's oh, women can use it too, but that's
it's
not
like
fair
a last minute.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I would also say that there is more they could be doing at the end. A lot of people say, well, not that many people get to the end, so why bother? But like this end card, give me more. I didn't realize actually that was switching. 100-day trial, lifetime warranty. I still think there maybe could be more.
What more could you put here? There's like 3 benefits here.
I'd summarize. I would maybe have a summary of some of the previous like points from before, maybe a call out of like number of reviews, 5-star reviews.
I love
maybe,
that idea. I could
yeah,
feel
maybe
like reviews need to be here.
maybe some quotes. Like I say to a lot of people, like, you can always just make it longer. Like,
right. Right.
you know, like you can, if it's already a minute 20, like who cares if it's a minute 40, you know, like
Right.
if people are going to keep watching it, okay.
Right. Agreed. So all right, now let's look at one that didn't work. Patient 3 here. Hasn't done well. So 51 seconds, let's take a look.
Why can't I find a razor that works for me? I found myself asking this question as I tried the razor industry's latest attempt at slapping a useless gimmick on their same old drugstore razor. And I still have razor burn, clogged blades, and a general distrust for the razor industry. But Supply's new razor is starting to change all of that. The Supply SE brings back the traditional single blade razor and makes it easy to use with their industry first nick stop technology. These fins guide your hair right to the blade and protect your skin
I'm
from
really
nicks and
bored.
cuts. If you're sick of the razor industry BS, you gotta try the Supply SE. But don't just take my word for it. You can try it for 100 days risk-free. Shop now to experience the joy of a single blade shave with the Supply SE.
Shit.
So I think one issue, and this is something that we've recently started to identify, is the VO is sort of what we call like the voice of God, where it's you have no context of who this person is. It even says like, trust, you don't have to trust me. Like, who are you? You're like the person who got paid to do the VO. Whereas in the last Supply one, you saw Patrick's face and you know who the VO is for the rest of the thing, and you have that type of context. But with here, I don't know who this person is.
Why can't I find a razor?
It's not this person because he's not talking, you know, but it's sort of paired with him, but there's a disconnect because it might not be him.
And it's also not a customer testimonial because it's using the full name of the product, and it's like gimmicky for industry words, phrases, and it almost feels like I have to do a math equation to understand what he's saying to me. It's this. I have a lot of issues with this VO. It just does not feel like a real person talking at all.
I mean, the shot at the top, it's a nice shot, but it's proven ineffective, obviously. I think if it was just this guy looking in his mirror, kind of similar to the last ad, that's like the biggest difference is we don't have someone talking to the camera being like, I can't stand these bumps, you know? So it does, there's an unrelatability to it.
I'll double down on that unrelatability. This shot right here looks like a stock video.
Yeah.
For a variety of reasons. One, generic motion, scratching a face. Who knows what this is for?
Who
Two,
does this?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's shot in a different style. It's believable.
Yeah.
Shot in a different style. This is actually, I think, believable. I think between the lighting, the camera angle, and all, like, I'm immediately taken. I'm sorry. Was there a zoom out there? Were these multiple shots?
Why can't I find a razor that works for me?
1, 2, 3.
Yeah, there's 3.
Yeah.
Crop in, crop out kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, which is not a bad thing to do. That's a good technique and different for other reasons. But like that to me, it just felt immediately inauthentic between either the lighting, the camera angle, or this guy, or all of it together. You know, so that immediately takes me out. Boom, gone. Combined with music. So if you're going for authenticity, then any of those, these are all levers that contribute to that. And also brand, like I think those are branded style captions. All of these things combined together clearly telegraphs ad, which is not always bad, but just you don't have to make every lever switch to authentic, but each lever that you move away from authenticity takes the viewer out of it and triggers that subconscious to think, oh, this is an ad, I don't want to watch this.
Yeah, you're not earning the rights to go more ad-like here in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
I think you're right. It's a balance. You can have branded captions if this was not a stock video. You know what I mean?
So one thing that I dislike about this, and going back to like communicating information in multiple ways, the VO and the text says, why can't I find a razor that works for me? but the video is like, I don't know what this guy's problem is. I don't know. It's not bumps. I don't know if he's got like rabies or if he's just like
Beard lice.
dryness or whatever. So if you can, I feel like this would be much better if the caption says like, are you constantly itchy, with your bad razor or something, describe what this is so it's connecting, because I read this and I have to do a little bit of mental leaps to figure out, oh, he's scratching because he can't find the razor, and it's too much mental math going on.
If it's to create a curiosity gap, I think that's okay. I'm okay with that discomfort a little bit, but I agree. I mean, here I just don't think it works, and I don't think, even if you were to say like, guys, is your whatever itchy, like I just don't know how relatable that is to what size of an audience cares about that. I don't think it's the huge relatable problem.
Okay, so let's look at this next segment.
I found myself asking this
By the way,
question
music.
as I tried the razor industry's
That clip was in the other video also.
Yeah.
Yep. Is this a good clip? I found myself asking this question, throwing away the razor, throwing away money and the wallet.
I love it.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, I like it with the drugstore one right after it.
Yeah, you're right, Rachel. That's like an imperative combo, right? Show the
it's
prices
good
of
combo.
those razors you just threw out.
Yeah.
I like it because it's one-upping the standard throw the old product in the trash.
Yep.
And it's clearly having fun exaggerating it by having 3 razors, throwing the cash, throwing the wallet. Like, that's having some fun with it.
Yep.
That's making content that I want to, enjoy and keep watching. That's fun.
Yep. And it's also not just ones here. Like there's two 50s here.
Yeah.
And if you pick up on that, it's a little extra touch here. And then the wallet.
That's
yes,
crazy.
great touch.
I mean, that's crazy that they just threw all that money away. Like, they didn't have to use 50s. They're never going to get that back.
There's
Never.
actually 3 50s. This shot cost at least $150. It's unbelievable.
Worth it.
Definitely.
Can you pause here, Jess?
Yeah.
Look at the captions here. This is what I was struggling with. At slapping useless gimmick on the same old drugstore razor. I feel like slapping useless gimmick. This feels so chunky. Like, I don't know that people say that.
Yeah.
Simpler
Text needs to flow. Grade school level for sure. And then I feel like slapping use of gimmick, but then they just get into like the whatever SE. I don't know. It feels a little disingenuous or disauthentic in general.
It makes it.
I was also just, it also needs a pattern interrupt. I was especially bored during this one. I mean, it's a lot of the same footage, but it's you've earned nothing here, and I think you could do something here where maybe you don't earn it, but like you might be able to earn something, just another pattern interrupt to earn that segment of clips here, and I'm just not seeing it,
Just related to that, like I meant to say this about the last video, but about both of these, music is a huge portion. The vibe, I was bopping to the first one. I was actually bopping to this one a little bit too, but this is like a sleepy song.
Yeah, lo-fi.
The lo-fi hip hop.
Yeah, maybe that's right.
It's
the reason why I was bored too. Like it's lulling me here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that's a coincidence. And now I've certainly played with this in the past before, but now it makes me really want to go back and do some like actual music testing on some of my ads. But as I think you like to do, you edit to the beat. So that creates a lot more work if you want to do that well.
It's not that much more work. It's a little bit, but those details matter. So let's go into the next patient. And we might have time.
I wasn't crapping on that, by the way. I was not trying to insult the editing to the beat. I think that's great.
I appreciate that. So for this one, this is a brand, they sell like peripherals, like USB peripherals. They said, we thought this ad would outperform the current ads we're running, but it didn't. Tested different hooks, and yet it didn't perform well enough. So let's take a look at this, 35 seconds.
InCharge X is the Swiss Army knife of cables. With its 6-pin combinations, you can literally charge every device.
Want to use a USB anymore, you can switch it to Type-C, and the same goes from the other side.
You have Lightning, micro USB, you snap it, you have USB-C. It also allows charging between devices.
Guys, it's so small.
This is definitely my favorite purchase of 2022.
And when you're done, you just snap it back into your keychain.
Okay. So I guess initially, the first glance is that the thumb stopper, traditionally it feels there's a little extra effort involved. And so, but at the same time, like I've seen this convention a lot, and it's nothing new either. Like even like better thumb stoppers or stuff that you see on TikTok all the time, you can't just copy that because even that stuff gets old. I mean, you guys have seen stuff where you just like pull it out of the computer, right?
Yeah, for sure. But I guess to me, pulling out of the computer, since we've seen that so many times, is the same thing as me just holding it up in front of you. And that is not necessarily a thumb stop, right? I mean, I also, there's a few seconds of just sort of silence, or I guess it's not silence because there's music, but it's
almost worse. It would be better without. Yeah, it would maybe be better with silence than that music, honestly.
Right.
It's also like 10 seconds before we see anyone's face talking about the product. I think that's too back-capped. I think it's got to be loaded more up front instead of just hands for the first 10, 15 seconds.
I mean, I look at this first second. Just go to the very first second, actually, for me, if you can. Okay. I'm already bored. No, don't even press play. Yeah. Just stop on the first frame. Right there. I am already bored because I can see what's on the screen is a PDP. And now, like, I don't expect every viewer to know that this is a PDP, but they understand it's a product page, and they're already probably not excited to see a laptop showing a website showing a product that they don't know or care about. You've already lost the battle. If anything, like I would crop this super tight, really tight. Just zoom it way in to the screen where this trick is going to happen, and at least that might garner some attention. I still don't think I agree with Rachel. Like I still don't think this is enough to justify anything as a hook. But at least if you're way cropped and zoomed in there, you might be able to squeeze something out of it.
Yeah, there's actually an editing mistake here. Like the first frame, you see the product is not here. This is so this is when you Photoshop it out for this frame.
Yep.
But like, so even something that's small like that, there's a little bit of what just happened. I'm not consciously like it's there and now it's not there, but there's just a little bit of something it's just a little off, and that can cause disappointment.
100%. And by the way, I often preach that can be the thumbnail too, sometimes for better or for worse. Like it actually can be okay if you get people to notice that. But like even then, like this is something I do in a lot of ads. Here's free advice to anyone watching. Like go back to that first second. I will sometimes obsess over that first second. Sure. If I launch an ad and it's doing okay or the hook isn't, I'm just going to be like, you know what? What's the difference between that little bit where they're not doing anything and where I can get his hand on it? And like just trim off that half second and get to the point of that grab to be in that first moment where it might be more exciting and might just trigger something in someone else's brain. And I say that because I've seen this stuff make a huge difference before, because for any number of reasons that I can't even possibly comprehend.
No, I think you're right. Starting in motion, I think is a completely different than starting when you're sort of just stationary. Absolutely.
Yeah, hands on keyboard, not interesting.
So does anyone know what this product does? Like what problem it solves? So let's just watch it again, because I think they don't even tell you why it's going to be helpful. They do into it's like it's small and it does this, but not like why.
InCharge X is the Swiss Army knife of cables. With its 6-pin combinations, you can literally charge every device.
Okay.
Okay, so it feels, yeah, so it does get into it, but like it's too like, you need to really show people that are like frustrated with it, or people that don't have the cable in their hand and now it comes out of their pocket. It's very much like it already assumes people are looking for this particular thing, like this exact solution. And for those people, it'll work, but that's not the majority. It's not high enough in the funnel to get a really big audience going, you know?
So we need to see the problem first, probably for this one, because it's a little bit more of something that might need some education.
Yep.
Yeah, I really need to know what the problem is that this is solving, rather than just saying it's the Swiss Army knife of whatever. Like, that made me more confused.
Right. Yeah. And if I'm looking for the Swiss Army knife, that resonates with me, but I don't know why I need this at all. It also looks wicked short. So, you know, for someone that charges cables, I don't know, I think they need to maybe address why it's so short, or I don't know. What do you guys think?
I think that can be solved by introducing like why it's so effective, like why people like it earlier. Because you're right, it's just like some guy pulling a short cord out of the computer, and it's like, why do I need a cord that short? It's like you don't know the full attributes of the product. I think those need to be front loaded big time. Otherwise, people are gonna be like, it's just a short cord.
Or you know, my initial thought was like the cord is too short to be effective. But when I'm thinking about it, like if you have someone who pulls like the 6-foot USB cord out of their pocket and it's just like this massive jumble, it's like you don't need, you know, cords this long, you know, to do it. And now the short cord becomes a benefit rather than a detraction because of the bias that I'm bringing into it.
That's right.
And again, that's showing the problem.
Yep.
But the problem that we're solving here is not having a cord when you need one.
Yeah.
That's the problem, is like, show a dying phone. Show 5 phones at 3%. You want to make people feel uncomfortable? Show them that. I by the way, I love on Reddit when you see someone shares a screenshot of their phone and everyone chastises them for how low their battery is. Love that, because people pay attention and that makes them feel anxious.
Right.
So that's a feeling you can make someone feel immediately and easily, and then you got them, and that's it.
Right. They go into the benefit that there's a lot of different connectors, which is a benefit, but maybe that's not the true benefit of something that's literally a keychain. You know, the true benefit is that it's small, it's always with you, and not that it's the Swiss Army knife. Like the Swiss Army knife is great, but I don't even carry a Swiss Army knife with me all the time either. You know, it's
no, I've got an app for that.
Right. The other thing I noticed about this one is that the VO, and I don't know, you know, the website it's not like .uk or something, but all the VO has an accent to it, and the people are talking and have an accent, and maybe that's because maybe they're in the UK or whatever. But if you need to appeal to the US market, I don't think it's helpful to have everyone have an accent, because then you're setting up that this is like from Europe or something like that.
It's an important note to remember that in the reverse, by the way, for us Americans trying to advertise abroad. But you know, sometimes there are ways in which like an accent can enhance video. Like I feel like I like to use a British voice in America. But yeah, in this case, it did make me feel less confident about it. And if anyone wants to attack me about that or cancel me, feel free. But you know, sorry.
It's not one accent; it's all of them, because you've set up a pattern.
Yep. It's eroded my trust, unfortunately.
Yep. So if there's that, let's see, we only have like a couple more minutes. So if anyone has anything else to say about this particular video, this feels like a supply clip right here. Let's see. So small. Like, I feel like you should almost start with this guy.
Yeah.
You know, my favorite purchase. Like, I don't know if I believe you.
Yeah, clips like those, we call them quick hits. I feel like you also have to earn those. Like that, she's not even saying anything. You know what I mean? It's like kind of that's like the same. I'm obsessed. It's a game.
It's definitely my favorite.
Right.
Yeah.
You kind of have to say why first. I don't know. I would much rather hear something so much more interesting. You know,
could be any product. It could be any.
Right,
product.
right.
This is my favorite purchase.
Right.
This is my favorite purchase.
Yeah. There's going to be like farms in China where people are like enslaved and then saying that over and over a million different.
You mean Billo?
Oh, God.
That's a good one.
We're going to be sued by Billo now. Great.
Bleep it. Just bleep it.
Okay, great.
We'll
so
assume it's something much worse.
I think that was fun. I hope people get a lot out of that. We got through 4 or something, and there's a lot more to do. So hopefully we can keep doing this. Well done, everyone. And something that I should have done at the top of the show, which I didn't, and I'm going to try and do very quickly, is thank and talk about our sponsor. And big apologies to Foxwell, because he was like, make sure you talk about it at the top of the show. And I was like, sure. And I totally forgot about all of that. But the Foxwell founder Slack group, and Barry, you're in this, right?
Oh yeah, I love it.
Right. So this is a Slack group, and instead of talking about it, I'm just going to show it where there's different. It kind of costs a lot of money to be in it, but it's very much worth it. And it's like, this is the only place where agencies are talking about like hardcore agency stuff, and it's kind of like the only place where like major spenders are talking about serious stuff. And it's a very.
I don't know if you should be showing that.
Okay, not doing that.
It might be private, but it's awesome. Sorry, I mean, like, whatever.
It's a very safe community too, and I think that's important because there's a lot of communities where people are showing off, and that's not the case here at all. And Foxwell has done an amazing job providing a supportive and like really top tier community management from him and Courtney and other people. So he's done an amazing job here.
I would just echo, it's really great if you're just a lurker. I'm not someone who posts much of anything, but I love reading the back and forth and getting new ideas specifically for like media buying things, or even, as an agency owner, just understanding a little bit about how other people run their business. It has been very helpful for me just as a lurker.
Yeah. Too. And it's hard at the media buyer, you need other people's opinion. Like a few days ago, I was like, does anyone have an account to do well Friday and Sunday, but then bad performance on Monday or Thursday? And I got like 6 replies of people who give like really, well thought out, long replies. And
then we got on a call with someone and chatted about it. Like it's really a great place to sort of have those conversations.
I'll add, I've built some nice relationships with some great people in there. I've gotten, I've been challenged on some stuff. I've learned so much from that group. I love that this is something like that is a sponsor, and I like just absolutely love that community. I tell a lot of people like to join it because even though it's an investment, it pays for itself in the value you get and the connections you can make. Like it's really a no-brainer, but it's hard to know that when you're not already in the community.
Yeah, it's one of the best purchases I've made of 2022, for sure.
That's so good.
Okay. Sounds like a great place to end it. This is our public Zoom, and there's another meeting starting. So thank you, everyone, for coming along.